Khadijah was the first wife of the Islamic prophet Muhammad. She was born on 555 CE and she died on 619 CE. She was the daughter of Khuwailid ibn Asad and Fatima bin Zaida. She belonged to the clan of Banu Hashim. She is important in Islam because she was Muhammad's first wife and people thought she was the mother of the believers. Khadijah was older than our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and when they got married, Khadijah was a businesswoman who Muhammad worked for.
Fatima was the daughter of Muhammad, and Khadijah, the first wife of Muhammad, was Khadijah, and Fatima was the favorite daughter of Muhammad, and everyone wanted to marry her, but he got her married to Ali because he had a sign from Allah that they should get married. Ali and Fatima lived in poverty, but Fatima didn't complain, and she is one of the 4 greatest women in the Islamic history, and she'll enter paradise. She'll be the first one to enter paradise. Yeah.
Hijra, also known as Bibi Hijra in Islam and Hagar in Christianity, was the wife of great Prophet Hazrat Ibrahim alayhi wasallam. She was an honourable woman and a great follower of our Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. She was also a very good mother and very loyal to her husband and towards being a wife. During her marriage, she was 17 and Ibrahim was 80 years old. The revelation of the Zamzam water was due to an experience of Hijiras in Mecca. All traditions agree that Allah created the world to provide Hijra, and the wife of Prophet Ibrahim, peace be upon him, and her baby Prophet Ishmael with water in the hot, dry valley they were in. Hijra and her son Prophet Ishmael was stranded in a dry valley where they were left by the Prophet Ibrahim. When Prophet Ibrahim left his son and wife alone in the valley, he prayed for them saying, "O Lord, I have made some of my offspring sail in the barren valley near the sacred house so that they may keep us up prayer." After Prophet Ibrahim left, Prophet Ishmael was in desperate need for water and he was very thirsty. Therefore, in her desperate search of water, Hijra ran 7 times back and forth in scorching heat between the 2 hills of Mount Safa and Marwa to provide for her son who was dying of thirst. She was searching for it while watching her son and would run whenever she could not see Prophet Ishmael. Allah saw her effort and miraculously blessed the spot that Prophet Ishmael was laying on and crying, with a spring of Zamzam water which appeared underneath Prophet Ishmael where his foot was laying on. This is the revelation of Zamzam water. I really admire Bibi Hijra, as she is a well-known religious woman who has set examples for women today and had to become a good mother and wife, as well as humble and loyal towards others. Her good deeds pleased Allah and she managed to cause a miracle which is still being spoken about up until today. She has been a loyal servant towards Allah and managed to maintain her relationships and self-respect in front of everyone.
Well, I am going to be talking about Mother Teresa, and she was a woman who devoted her life to working and helping charities as a Catholic nun from Albania and India. And she was born on the 26th of August 1910 and died in 5th of September 1997. And for over 45 years, she ministered to the poor, sick, orphaned and dying while guiding the missionaries of charities expansion. First throughout India and then in other countries such as Albania. By the 1970s, she was intentionally famed as a humanitarian and advocate for the poor and helpless, and she even won a Nobel Peace Prize in 1979 and India's highest civilian honour, Bharat Ratna, in 1980 for her humanitarian work. She has helped people go through many stages of life, people who had HIV and AIDS, leprosy and TB, etc., etc. And last year, in 2010, it was her 100th anniversary of her birth. She was honoured around the world and her work praised by Indian President Pratibha Patil. And also, the reason why I had chosen Mother Teresa is because I feel as though she was the one who had inspired me to help people less fortunate than myself. And I have been more sharing and giving to others. And I have also been thinking a lot more about my religion because I am also a Catholic Christian, just like her. And I like to follow in people's footsteps because, well, and particularly Mother Teresa's is because she was very well known, and she was well known because of her generosity to others, and I think that's really cool. Awesome. Thank you.
Miriam was the older sister of Moses, who was the leader of the Hebrews. In the Old Testament, the Pharaoh decided that all Hebrew male babies should be killed in order to decrease the population. Moses, who was a baby at the time, was hidden by his sister, who was Miriam, and her mother, Jochebed, in a basket to float down the river Nile. Miriam then arranged for the Pharaoh's daughter to take care of Moses. The two siblings were eventually reunited and they left Egypt with the rest of the Hebrews. Miriam then helped Moses to lead a group during the Exodus. I chose Miriam because she was one of the few women in the Bible. She was courageous and clever, showing that even many years ago a woman was still strong. She wasn't afraid to say what she thought and still remains a great role model.
Mary Magdalene's story is intimately linked with Jesus. She plays a starring role in one of the most powerful and important scenes in the Gospels. Mary Magdalene was so called either from Magdala near Tiberias or on the west shore of Galilee, or possibly from the Talmudic expression meaning curling woman's hair, which the Talmud explains as of an adulteress. When Jesus is crucified by the Romans, Mary Magdalene was there supporting him in his final terrifying moments and mourning his death. She also discovers the empty tomb and she's a witness to the resurrection. She was there at the beginning of the movement that was going to transform the West. The whole story of Mary as a prostitute who is fallen and redeemed is a very powerful image of redemption, a signal that no matter how low one has fallen, one can be redeemed. It is also sometimes thought that Mary Magdalene was an equal to the disciples and that she was loved by Jesus. Mary is alone when someone asks her why she is crying. She believes it's the gardener and says, "They've taken my Lord's body, and I do not know where it is." The figure says her name, and then she sees Jesus. She's overwhelmed and says, "Master," and goes forward to reach out to him, but he stops her. He says, "Don't touch me." Instead, she must go to the others and tell them that he has risen from the dead. I chose Mary Magdalene because she is an important part of the Bible, even because she witnessed the rising of Jesus. And in the Bible times, women were not seen as good witnesses, therefore they were not allowed to witness in court or speak in church.
Ruth is a woman from Noah who first married Mahlam of Judah. She was a widow. Her mother-in-law, Naomi, returned to her homeland and Ruth accompanied her. Naomi urged Ruth to return to her own people and God. In Bethlehem, Ruth married a relative of Naomi's named Boaz. In this way, the Gentile Ruth became part of the heritage of Christ himself. She subsequently became the mother of Obed, the grandmother of Jesse, and the great-grandmother of King David. Ruth is a great inspiration with an amazing personality who is worth to be mentioned and talked about.
The person I've chosen is Emma Watson. I admire her because she stars as my favourite film, Harry Potter, and she's a really good actress. She also manages to get A stars in her A-levels and GCSEs whilst doing the filming for the Harry Potter films. And she's doesn't just do good acting, she also has fun when she's acting. And yeah, I admire that. I chose Queen Esther because not only was she a very humble person, but she was willing to die for her people. "If I must die, I am willing to die," was one of Queen Esther's famous quotes. Also, even though she knew that there was a possibility that she would die, she wasn't aggressive and she stayed strong throughout the whole time. I admire Queen Esther because she sacrificed her life for her own people.
Mary born with Jesus is very special to me because she was a human and she was chosen by God to deliver his only son, and to me that really shows how important humans are to God. And she went with Jesus in his teachings to other people, and she's one of the few positively mentioned women in holy books around the world. And that's really special to me because there aren't many positively spoken about women in the world, in other holy books. I remember reading about her, and it said that how pure she was and how good she was to other people, and that kind of just teaches me that if you're good to people, then you will receive good back. And for me, what's better than giving birth to the Son of God, or to a very important preacher? Yeah.
Elizabeth, the wife of Zechariah, the mother of John the Baptist and cousin of Mary, is an honoured woman in Islam. Although Zechariah himself is frequently mentioned by the name in the Quran, Elizabeth, while not mentioned by name, is referenced. Islamic traditions like Christianity gives her the name. She is revered by Muslims as a wise, pious and believing person who, like her relative Mary, was exalted by God to a high station. She lived in the household of Amran and is said to have been a descendant of the prophet and priest Aaron. Zechariah and his wife were both devout and steadfast in their duties. They were, however, both very old and had no son. Therefore, Zechariah would frequently pray to God for a son. This was not only out of the desire to have a son, but also because the great apostle wanted someone to carry on the services of the temple of prayer and to continue the preaching of the Lord's message after his death. God cured Elizabeth's barrenness and granted Zechariah a son, Yahya, John the Baptist, who became a prophet. God thus granted the wishes of couples because of their faith, trust and love for God. In the Quran, God speaks of Zechariah, his wife, and John describes the three as being humble servants of the Lord. I picked her because it seemed really sweet because she was so loyal to her faith, and it just showed that if you're loyal to something for so long, that's good things will happen to you.
The person I've chosen is Lydia of Thyatira. A woman of Teresa, a seller of purple who dwelt in the Philippines. The Lord opened her heart as she heard the gospel from the lips of Paul. She thus became the first in Europe who embraced Christianity. She was a person apparently of considerable wealth.
for she could afford to give a home to Paul and his companions. Lydia insisted on giving hospitality to St. Paul and his companions in the Philippines. They stayed with her until their departure. She's got a special feast day, which is on August the 3rd. Although she is mentioned only briefly in the scriptures, she holds a prominent place in the Bible history. Lydia is the first recorded Christian in Europe to be converted by Paul, and her home became the place where the subsequent first church, the liberal biblical meaning of church, is called out ones, the people. The Acts of the Apostles describes her as the following: a certain woman named Lydia, a seller of purple of the city of Thyatira, one who worshipped God, heard us, whose heart the Lord opened to listen to the things which were spoken by Paul. When she and her household were baptized, she begged us, saying, "If you have judged me to be faithful to the Lord, come into my house and stay." So she persuaded us. I chose Lydia because I thought that she was really brave in taking the first step in becoming like the first person in the whole of Europe to worship Christianity.